Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about if you have your rising sign, which is the Ascendant, we call it the Lagna in Vedic Astrology, if you have a Leo Ascendant. So the Ascendants are really what set up your entire chart. It's so important to know this. And of course, if you have Leo as your rising sign, remember I call it rising because the Ascendant it's what constitutes the first house. So when you find out what your rising sign is, your Ascendant, then this means that this will dictate what planets rule each of your houses in your chart. So it sets up the whole chart. So important to know. Now, I want to remind everyone that I'm starting my University of Vedic Astrology's first semester in July, the first week of July. You won't want to miss it. So check it out on my website. I would love to have you as a student. Go to University of Vedic Astrology.com. I work with my students one-on-one, on and off throughout this entire university course. It's amazing. And remember, check out my website if you want to sign up for my free newsletter and find out about all the new exciting ventures that are happening with the Galactic Center. I have spiritual jewelry, and sign up for my free newsletter. Go to galacticcenter.org. So now let's get on. If you have a Leo rising, then that means at your time of birth, Leo was the sign that was rising on the eastern horizon, and that sets up your whole entire chart. So what is it if you have Leo as your ascendant? Well, it's very powerful because Leo is the leader. You want to always be the one in charge and leading the ship. You're not a follower. People follow you. You're a very strong and powerful individual. And yes, if your ascendant is the first 13 degrees 20 minutes, between 0 and 13 degrees 20 minutes, your ascendant sign will be in the nakshatra Magha. And Magha, that nakshatra's symbol is the throne. So that's extraordinarily important to know this, that you're the leader, it's the sign of the throne, and that's what you're going to be all about, leadership qualities. But it does mean K2 rules that, and that would make it a little bit more difficult than if your rising sign sits in Leo. I'm going to say it's going to sit from 13 degrees 20 minutes of Leo to 26 degrees 40 minutes of Leo. If your rising degree is within that, then you have the nakshatra Purva Falguni ruling your ascendant. And that means you have to express yourself. You're very self-expressive. And many people with this rising sign can be somewhat, whether in the field or not, entertainers. They just have a way about them that's extraordinarily entertaining. Sometimes they're even in that business. But it's a very lucky nakshatra. It's ruled by Venus, and it does denote a great deal of wealth and many times inheritances. But if your rising sign sits at pretty much the last 4 degrees, which is 26 degrees 40 minutes to the very end of the sign of Leo, then your rising sign is Uttara Falguni. And Uttara Falguni is always about friendship. They're best to have friends, and they absolutely love to be in relationships. So those are the certain degree markings that can make Leo, even though altogether Leo is so strong, but those degree markings will make certain Leo rising signs different than others, okay? Now, what is Leo all about? You know, Leo gets a bad rap because I think from Western astrology, they always say Leos are self-centered. They think the whole universe revolves around them. But here's my take on the sign Leo. They are loyal to a fault. And Leo rules the heart. And they give out such great warmth. They are unaware that they are so powerful and they command respect and leadership. They are the leader, but at the same time, they are completely loyal and open-hearted, and they emit a major amount of warmth. Many people want to surround them. People want to be led by someone that has strong Leo qualities. They are very aware of who they are in the self, being pretty much can be self-centered, but they're powerful. This is a powerful sign. It's ruled by the sun. The sun is what gives us life. It's what brings light to the planet. Leo is such an important and powerful sign. And remember, this will pertain to you as well if you have your moon in Leo. Recognize that the ascendant and the moon are one and the same. But when we talk about from the ascendant, the rising sign, this is where I'm going right now. Leo is the most heartwarming, focused, powerful sign. Yes, it's fixed. They can be extraordinarily stubborn and not even admit to it either, but they're very, very stubborn. Powerful, they're very fiery and inspirational. Fire signs give off inspiration and emotion, and it's just they come from a place of the spirit. Remember, fire signs are relative to spirit. So they're very spirited and they love life and they're strong and powerful and loyal. Remember that the fixed star that is so powerful that resides in Leo, and it is everything of the qualities of Leo, is Regulus. Regulus sits about 6 degrees of Leo. And Regulus is said to be the king, but it's the heart of the lion, that particular star. And when people have Regulus rising, in other words, their ascendants around 5 to 7 degrees of Leo, they will be this powerhouse. They're very determined and powerful, but Leo is ruled by the sun. So let's go through all the different houses. If you have the ruler of your chart, which what I always say, the ruler of the chart is the ruling planet of the ascendant, so very important. So whatever house it sits in is extraordinary. And that will be a focus throughout your life. So if you have a Leo rising and your sun is in the first house, that means your sun is in Leo. And it's in your first house. How powerful does that get? You are very, very aware of who you are, very focused. You know what you want. You are determined and you will get there. Sun in Leo is so inspirational and fiery and optimistic. But I'll tell you something that can be a little problem with that, to have the sun, and the closer it is to the ascendant. This is what's interesting. Now, Leos are known for having lots of hair. But when you put the sun too close to the ascendant, even regardless of what rising sign you have, it's known to burn the head. So it's true. When the sun sits on the ascendant, and it's not always true, but many times it can be true, it means that they lose their hair early or they don't have as much hair. In other words, the hair has been burnt off the head. But that's where you see the sun close to the ascendant degree, okay? But Leos, for a matter of fact, most of them have voluptuous hair, lots and lots of hair. That's what Leo's known for, their mane. Okay, so generally I would think the sun in the first house in Leo would give a great head of hair, but if you get it too close to that degree, it can burn it. Okay, but that's a powerful position, very, very, very powerful. The sun, ruler of the chart, sits in the first house, meaning this person knows exactly what they want and will go for it in life. Now, if your sun sits in the second house and you have Leo rising, it means your sun is in Virgo. And this makes you much more of a scrutinizing type Leo rising. You look at the details and you're focused around details dealing with your financial situation in life. But there was probably growing up not as easy of a time with most people because the sun is a mild malefic. And being in the second house could cause people to overrun, to be in control, or maybe make you not be so vocal. It's like you were always kind of in someone's shadow when you were growing up with the sun in the second house. And being in the sign of Virgo, you can be very scrutinizing and detailed, especially when it comes to looking at money matters. Okay, let's say you have a Leo rising, but your sun's in the third house. That means your sun is in Libra in the third house. And Libra, sun in Libra, well, you know, it's debilitated there. It means that there is something about your self-esteem you're always trying to gather and overcome. And you know what, you can, with the sun in Libra being debilitated, but in the third house, it might have something to do with a sibling that caused you to feel less than, or you had to overcome and gain your confidence later because they were always trying to put you down or make you look less than powerful than you know that you are. But also the sun in the third house in Libra is you're always trying to balance and help people. Bring balance and peace to the situation between siblings, probably. And you will probably be very good with writing or something to do with the arts, maybe music writing, something where you're good with your hands, with the sun being in Libra in the third house and being Leo rising. So let's say you have the sun in the fourth house and you have a Leo rising. This means that your sun is in Scorpio. And this is very intense. You can be a very intense and powerful individual. I know you will. And your mother comes off as that, as being in control and powerful and overruling a lot that you wanted to do and control. The sun is all powerful, and in Scorpio, in the fourth house, this can put a little bit of your goal is to find security, and finding security will come through real estate and property, owning your own home. That's one thing you're looking forward to. And I will say this, with the sun in Scorpio, it's a fixed sign too. You can be very stubborn, try to bend more, be more open to listening to other people's opinions because you can't have it your way all the time. Leo, Scorpio, very powerful, determined signs, I must say. But real estate, property, and home life are something that gives you security, and you will stress that that is important to you. Now, if you're a Leo rising and you have your sun in the fifth house, then this means that there's something about children. And probably your firstborn will be a boy. Yes, because I see that this is male dominated. And you know, this is, if your sun is in the fifth house and you have Leo rising, it means your sun is in Sagittarius, which means you're all about adventure, traveling, seeing the world, always learning something new, bright-minded, very intelligent and smart. The fifth house deals with creativity. You're highly creative and inspirational with two fire signs, the rising being Leo and the sun being in Sagittarius. Sagittarians do love finding truth, and they want nothing but the truth. And this is what you're always seeking. But you're extraordinarily talented and highly intelligent, and children will be a focus in your life, particularly a male child. Look for that. Now, if you're Leo rising and you have your sun in the sixth house, that means your sun sits in Capricorn. You are very much consumed with work and business. Sixth house is work, and you'll be very health oriented and probably very healthy if the sun is the main planet that sits in your sixth house, and concerned about diet, nutrition, health, and healing. All those things are important, but your work ethic is remarkable. But look out The people you work with might try to dominate you. And that's not something a Leo rising goes for. So probably you need to have your own business, and look out, you will have employees that want to dominate your business as well. Very ambitious, gold-oriented employees and co-workers when at the workplace. Now, if you're a Leo rising and your sun sits in the 7th house, that means your sun is in Aquarius. And this is where you are always looking for a partner that has the same values as you. And you might find that you find a partner that wants to dominate you, but remember, the sun is in Aquarius in the 7th house, and that means you'll have a partner that will quietly undermine you and be in control and make you stand in their shadow. But it will be it won't be obvious, because Aquarians, they are very, very, they're very rigid. They know that they know more than anyone else, and they make it known, but they don't discuss it, if that makes sense to you. So you can have a partner who needs to be, and it won't be obvious, in control in the center. And you'll say, no, my partner's not like that. Think about it. They have their ways to get their way, but it's so under the wire that you can't tell, because they can be very manipulative, but you can be very, very strong. And it does relate that you do have your sun in Aquarius, and you are extraordinarily strong and highly intelligent. Partnerships are going to be a little bit of a struggle, but boy, do you put your whole heart and soul to make them work. You do. Because in this case, you have the ruler of the first, which represents you, in the 7th house of partnerships. You're here to make your partnerships work. So you'll find ways. And you will probably attract someone that is totally, completely opposite of you. Just remember this, opposites attract. So you will fill in the gaps that they lack and vice versa. So if you are a Leo rising and your sun is in the 8th house, then this means your sun is in Pisces. And this means you're highly, highly psychic, intuitive. And you're always looking for deeper aspects. Research is off the charts. You go to the depths of the soul to understand and find things out. Furthermore, there are things that you really had to deal with that were very, very difficult in life, because the 8th house can deal with great difficulty. And it might even relate to your father, because don't forget, the sun is the father. When it's in the 8th house, there may be some things that you weren't real happy about your father, maybe even ashamed of. But things always can be worked out. But your ability to research, get to the bottom of things is incredible. And you have a love of metaphysics, and you're incredibly intuitive. And everything to do with the 8th house will be a part of your life, which means metaphysical sciences, research. But there will be some instances that you will have to overcome that will humble you to a great extent. So going to, if you have a Leo rising and your sun is in your 9th house, then this means you have the sun in Aries in the 9th house. And this would represent a very dominant, over-the-top father, because the sun is actually exalted in Aries. So this is a very powerful and might even be a very successful father. Or teacher. You could become a teacher, very inspirational teacher. You are a leader. You are an initiator, someone that begins things that nobody else has done before, with the sun in Aries in the 9th house. And extremes with travel. You will travel the world. You love to learn through travel. And university teachers, you will find the best teachers in any field of what you do. But most of all, this is your quest for first of all, spirituality and finding the truth. That is who you are. And remember, with the sun in Aries and a rising in Leo, you are all full of fire and inspiration. And you move fast. Everything you do, it is top speed, because Aries is a fast moving sign. So if you have Leo rising, ascendant, and your sun sits in the 10th house, this means that you have a sun in Taurus. In the 10th house, your whole life is about your work and your career. That is the most important variable, and how you define who you are is through your career and your work. And you should never work for other people. You have to have your own business. Nobody can tell you what to do. You know better. And you will be very successful with your work and your career. So the sun in Taurus gives determination and stability. You won't give up. That's another key factor to the sun in Taurus, Leo rising. And you have a certain amount of gracefulness with it being in Taurus. You very much care about the people that work for you, because let me put it this way, you are going to be the leader in your field. So going to, if you have a Leo rising and your sun sits in the 11th house, means your sun's in Gemini. You have so many friends, and friends that you love to be around, that you learn things from, that you can communicate well with, that you share ideas, and there's learning and teaching. You love to be around groups and organizations of highly intelligent, knowledgeable people. And this can even be that you know some very influential people, but it's always about what can I gather and learn from them, and that's your advantage. And with the sun in Gemini, you're so curious about the world, learning, reading, writing, information. Your communications are everything through the groups and people you hang out with. And you have a variety of very interesting, very different friends in your life. But friendship is so important to you. That's what you value seriously above most other things in your life. Can you be friends with these people? Now, if you're a Leo rising, oh, and one more thing about that Gemini, sun being in Gemini in the 11th house with the Leo rising, I have to say this, your older sibling will be very important to you, or maybe it means you're the oldest one. Okay, if you're Leo rising, ascendant, and your sun, which rules your ascendant, sits in the 12th house, then this means your sun is in Cancer in the 12th house. And the sun in Cancer is highly sensitive. And for it being in the 12th house, you need your time alone. You need to really, really be alone. That's where you regain your strength, your vitality, by your solitude times. And that's where you learn the most. You have very vivid dreams. You have one foot in this world and one foot in another world. And dreams are very vivid and will predict your future. So if your sun being in Cancer in the 12th house, you will have an interest in foreign lands and countries and travel far and wide. But one thing you are here to do in this lifetime is to heal many of the issues from the past. And that will help you grow spiritually, because with the sun in the 12th house, ruler of your chart, your life is about spirituality in the deepest sense of the word, not religion, spirituality. You want to reach a level of enlightenment, to move on, to move out of this dimension, this world. And that's what you do when you take the time to be alone, because being with too many people at once causes you to feel overwhelmed. So take those times alone. Go on those vacations, travel the world, connect with foreign people, learn through different cultures. You may even have a business that deals with foreign countries or trade or something. of a product or information from a foreign country. Vedic astrology is foreign to people in the West, so it could even be that. So with all of that, I think this gives you a better understanding of if you have a Leo rising, depending on what degree it is, and depending on where the ruler of your chart, the sun, is occupied. This tells you volumes about who you really are. So I hope you've gained some valuable insights from this. And remember, if you feel like you want to learn more about Vedic astrology, check out my university. Go to University of Vedic Astrology.com. And if you want to learn more about me, go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. Thank you.